Welcome back to Crafty Coaster. My name is Kevin, and today we're at Differential Brewing. We got a chance to interview Tony, one of the owners here. So why don't we go on inside and see what's going on. So we're over here at Differential Brewing with Tony Hansen. He is one of the owners. I am so pleased we finally got a chance to come see him. Tony, thank you for taking the time to be in Crafty Coasters.
Of course, anytime.
So tell us a little bit of background about yourself.
So for a brewery owner, I come from a very different background than most that I have seen. I come from the packaged liquor side of the equation. So all my experience in beer comes from the retail operation sides of things, which a lot of brewers don't get to experience firsthand that I've seen. So it gives me unique perspectives on the market, customer desires.
What the customers want.
Yeah, versus also what they say they want, what they actually buy.
Yeah.
I happen to be so lucky as to actually run the liquor store right down the street from here, just not even 500 yards away. So I know the neighborhood very, very well. Not only the people, but their buying habits as well. So.
Oh, that's a big plus.
Yeah, for sure. And while I was doing that, one of my very good customers, Victor, who owned Victor's Grape Arbor, we used to talk all the time, and one day he just brought me a home brewing kit and was like, you know too much about beer to not actually be a brewer. And so he's the one that actually kind of jump-started me into this, and this was a decade ago or so.
I know everybody over at the Grapevine, they do a lot to help people out around here.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
So tell us about your property here.
Yeah, so we got really lucky. My business partner's family, Tino Nellis, his family, the Nellos, owned the Quarters barbecue empire. And he actually bought this property for his son, I think back in the 80s. Unfortunately, his son passed away, so it kind of fell down to my business partner. Once we had a bunch of tenants leave, we were looking at the property and like, well, man, it's such an iconic building, but it was in really ragged shape. We were hoping that we didn't have to tear it down, that we could transform it into something else. So first thing I did was go to the neighborhood association day one and was like, hey guys, we have this property on our hands now, and instead of keeping it as a rental, especially for a mechanic shop, we'd like to change it up and provide a service to the community and make a local neighborhood pub. And thankfully, they were ecstatic about it.
Oh, I bet.
100% on board. They're really gung-ho about cleaning up the yellow corridor and making it much more pedestrian friendly. So they got behind the project immediately, which is awesome.
Great. And you're over here located, what, 500 Yale?
500 Yale and Garfield.
Which is really close to Central.
Yes.
Gibson and the Isotopes.
Yes, and a little over 800 feet from C&M as well.
Oh, nice. So speaking of C&M, when we walked in here, we got a little surprise. We got to see that you had a bunch of C&M students around. Yes. Tell us a little bit about what you do for them.
So, funny story, our assistant brewer actually went through the program a few years back. He graduated last year, and he had been working for me down the road at the liquor store. So we got to know everybody in the department fairly well. And then when we picked up our head brewer, Peter, he has known all the players in that department as well for a very long time. So naturally being as close as, anybody else, we really want to support that kind of development, especially in the educational sector. So whenever we get a chance, whenever they have any projects they want to do, our doors are open for them to come in and use our equipment and learn on it.
And they actually brew here.
Yes. They did a big batch for a sour that's going to be released in, I believe, 2 years. So it's going to be a long project.
Yeah, that's a project.
But it's kind of cool for them because our system's very small but flexible, and it's more like a large-scale industrialized version of a homebrew setup as opposed to like an intense manufacturing-oriented system. So it's actually lets you see the steps a lot better than one of the bigger systems do.
Oh, nice.
So it's a good step in between what they do in their lab versus what they see on the large commercial sides of things. We fill that little niche.
Cool. So tell me about your beers. From what I understand, you keep the alcohol content down?
Yeah. So running in the liquor store, I got a unique perspective on what people buy versus what they say they buy, right? The number of times I had somebody walk in there and tell me they wanted the lightest IPA possible, and I'd be like, okay, you want a pale ale? And they'd be like, no, an IPA. Blew my mind. And there seems to be this disconnect in the craft brewing industry that the word light is bad. I don't believe it to be bad, slightest.
No, not at all.
And so while working over there, you'd see a 4-pack of high-end IPA and a 30-pack of cheap domestic beer, or a 6-pack of high-end, pale ale and a 30-pack of cheap domestic beer. And that tells you one of two things. Either that person, that individual, drinks craft beer and commercial beer, or there's a significant other in the equation that isn't being catered to by the craft brewing industry. Most breweries have one light beer, and it's kind of a token thing.
More of a lager or light pilsner.
Yeah, and usually a pilsner, which is fairly hoppy even for a lager. I wanted to break that trend. I have no desire to manufacture and be large-scale oriented, so I can do things that other breweries can't more cost-effectively. So to that end, all of our beers are sold through the pub. And to do that, I want people to actually have a proper pub experience, which is not big, heavy, high-alcoholic beers where you have to be cut off after 2, regardless of anything. Instead, we offer, lower 4%, true kind of pub, slow-drinking, easy-drinking beers.
With still the craft taste.
Exactly. You don't have to be big and bold to be interesting. You can actually be light and have a lot of interesting character going on.
Yeah, it's the flavor profiles that you're working with that causes that, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot less to hide behind, let me tell you what. So we have to be much more on our game. And so it is definitely kind of a risky maneuver, but so far everything seems to be panning out. All of our lightest beers are the ones that sell the best.
And what is your best-selling beer?
The Blue Corn Cream Ale, far and away.
I have not had that one. I've been saving that one.
Okay.
I've had 2 or 3 of your other ones that have had a flight over time, but I'm looking forward to that Blue Cream Corn Ale. That's
as soon as we're done with this. So all the recipes except 2 are my head brewer's, Peter's. But 2 are mine, the extra pale ale and that Blue Corn. In Blue Corn, I wanted to do something completely different. I really wanted to honor that good old East Coast cream ale that you really don't get out here in the West, like Genesee's and was it Three Kings? I can never remember the name of that one. Good, cheap beers that aren't boring and are distinctly American in a lot of ways. So while trying to come up with a recipe, I was like, you know what? I want to actually use Mexico ingredients that are actually more emblematic of New Mexico than just green chili. I mean, everyone does a green chili lager. They're all más o menos the same kind of thing. And they're interesting and unique, but you can't really actually drink them. You can't sit down with a 6-pack and just go.
No, you're good for one.
yeah. Great for marinating bratwurst, but...
Oh, that they do.
So I wanted to do something that utilized New Mexico ingredients in a truly respectful and interesting way, and while keeping the beer highly drinkable. And we have such a unique corn agriculture here in New Mexico. It evolves very differently than all the rest of the country. So I just gave it a shot, threw some blue corn in. After a few batches of trying, I landed on a pretty nice blend where you get this really interesting nose of like a blue corn tortilla, but with this smooth kind of earthy sweet finish. It's hard to say because there's not actually a lot of residual sugar left over in it. It just makes you think it's kind of got some sweetness to it, which actually I find to be a very refreshing thing in a beer.
Nice.
Sweet without actually being sugary.
There you go. Well, I'm excited to actually taste it. Like I said, I've reserved it. I come by here fairly regularly, and so this is exciting for me to be able to finally sit down with you and get you on the channel. Do us a favor, look into the camera,
sure,
and invite people down.
So a large part of this project, and honestly, the vast majority of it is to be a local neighborhood pub. It is something that is missing in New Mexico. For lack of better reasons, really strict liquor laws have kind of locked us out of that. So with the rise of the small brewer's license, we're able to actually provide that service that has been so long missing out here in the West. So I'm here for you guys. If you want me around, all you got to do is come down and hang out.
Perfect. Thank you very much for letting us come on down, and we look forward to a long time dealing with Differential.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Take care. Have a nice day. As always, we get a chance to sample what they've got here at the Differential Brewing. And I'm pretty excited of this one. It's the Blue Corn Cream Ale. And they also have this one called the Dark Lager. I've had this dark lager and it's pretty good. So let's do a little taste test on this one first, because that's the excitement, at least for me. So this has a very rich, sweet smell, kind of a woody, caramel kind of smell to it. Not much fruit. It's got a little sweetness though. It's got a lot of lacing on the glass. It's very dark tasting for a lager, and that's for a lager. You can definitely taste the caramel. It's a silky taste on your tongue, almost like a milk feel. It finishes dry, because in the end it did dry out. But it's still, what it smells like is what you'll taste. It's a woody caramel flavor as well as a smell. It's a good lager. It's different for a lager, and I like it. So that one right there is the one I've been saving. This is the Blue Corn Cream Ale. It's their signature beer, very light, almost it's very see-through and very carbonated. Let's take a smell. Very light citrus smell. Tangerine-esque. Little bit of lacing on the side of the glass. You can taste the blue corn. Little dry. The back of my tongue and the sides are dry. Leaves no aftertaste. Very interesting. The funny thing is I actually prefer this dark lager, and that's new for me. But this is good too. But that weird tangerine smell, you don't taste it. But it helps when you're drinking it. It's very good beer. Cheers. And today, while we were in, we got to witness something that's kind of special for them, and we thought we'd help them out. They now have their own growlers. Come in and pick one up. You can get any one of their beers to take home, which are low alcohol, or you can get Bosky or Santa Fe, which are on tap here too. So come on by and pick up one of their growlers. And if you're interested in one of these growlers, they're only $8. So come on down and get one. Something else we found that's pretty cool here is they're offering a little bit of wine and a little bit of non-alcohol type drinks, such as Cokes and Red Bull, which really makes it great if you're bringing someone down who doesn't drink or you have a designated driver. So if you want to come visit Differential Brewing, they're on 500 Yale Boulevard, just a couple blocks south of Central. If you like what we're doing here at Crafty Coaster, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.